Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited to present this to you guys. I'm really, really proud of these students. They've done marvelous work at overcoming the limitations of Zoom. They're very creative. They're a joy to work with, and I cannot wait to share their work with you guys. So just a couple things. First off, this production consists of 3 classes. So this is the middle school intro to acting, the middle school acting 2, and then the high school acting 2 classes. The production's probably going to run around an hour 15. That would be my guess. God forbid some technical issues arise. It's probably going to happen, but please just be patient. As we work through that, someone could freeze, we could lose connection, a mic could go out or such. We're gonna go with the flow, work with it as it comes. So there are a couple housekeeping rules for y'all that I'm going to slowly walk through. If you're technically challenged as I am, then I understand. So first off, just please keep your video and your off and yourself muted the whole time. Please don't write anything in the chat during the performance. There will be time for that afterwards, but that can be distracting for the actors and the audience. At the end of the performance, normally when the actors will come out and take their bows, called the curtain call, instead, the actors are going to come on screen, take a bow. I'm going to cheer and clap loudly in the back, and you guys can leave any encouraging notes you want to in the chat so that they can read through those, and I'm sure that'll mean a lot to them. So that's a time where you guys get to engage. Let's see. So I'm going to go through a couple technical steps so that you guys can view the production with the best video settings. So if you are not already set to gallery view, you have the option for speaker view or gallery view, and that's going to be up in the right-hand corner. So if you are already on gallery view, it's going to say speaker view. But if you're on speaker view, it's going to say gallery view. So if you have the option of gallery view right up there in the right-hand corner, click that. If it already says speaker view, you don't need to touch anything. I hope that's clear. Okay, so that's the first step. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to hide all non-video participants so that you guys are just seeing the people that have their video on. So in the left-hand bottom corner, you'll see the stop video option. So we've got mute and then we've got stop video next to that. And on the stop video, we'll see a little arrow pointing up. Click on that. Then you're going to see a meetings setting option. You'll go to the meetings settings and click hide non-video participants. And that's the end goal. So once again, you go to stop video. You'll just look at the stop video option. You'll see a little arrow pointing up. Click that. Go to meeting settings and then hide non-video participants. I hope that was clear. Okay, so at this point you should only see people who have their video on. Thank you guys for your patience as we work through all of that. I'm very excited to present The Princess and the Goblin. Enjoy.
A long time ago, there was a young princess, Irene, who lived in a mountain kingdom. While her father, whom she called King Papa, was away on a journey, she had many servants to look after her. Though she was surrounded by those who would fulfill her every wish, Princess Irene was a very special child who would never ask for anything she did not need. Now, in the mountain kingdom, there were plenty of mines and many miners to work them. But the miners weren't the only ones in the shafts and caves. Goblins, a strange race of beings whom some call gnomes or cobs, lived under the mountains.
Come on, you slowpokes.
Incoming, people face!
Be quiet, you two noodle noggins!
The darkness makes these creatures ugly, wicked, conniving things to anyone who lives in the sunlight. They make it their chief business to torment the king and his subjects. For that reason, Princess Irene was never allowed out of the castle after dark. You see, once the sun set, the goblins came out to play.
We should be heading back now, Princess.
No, Ludi, it's not too late yet.
You know your father would be very displeased to hear that you were out too late.
Please, Ludi, just a few more minutes.
Oh, all right.
I wish I could take you to see my grandmother.
Oh, don't start going on about that nonsense again.
I'm not talking nonsense. I visited her in the castle. She's very much taller than you and very pretty. Much prettier than anyone at the castle.
Oh, I dare say.
And she lives on pigeon's eggs.
Most likely.
And she sits in an empty room, spinning all day long. She spins magical thread, Ludi.
No doubt of it.
And she keeps her crown in her bedroom.
Of course. Why, quite a proper place to keep a crown. She wears it in bed, no doubt. Ha!
She didn't say that. And I don't think she would. That wouldn't be very comfortable now, would it? I don't think my king papa wears his crown for night. Does he?
I never asked him.
My grandmother, she's been in that tower so many years. I only just noticed her at the top of those old stairs. Why didn't you tell me she was there?
Why, I needn't tell you. You are quite good at making it up yourself.
You don't believe me.
I just know that princesses are in the habit of making believe.
But it's not make-believe.
I can't believe such foolishness. You should know better than to trade the truth for a fanciful story. It is not becoming of a young princess. Oh dear. Oh dear, we have stayed out too long. Come, child. Oh dear.
What's wrong, Louie?
Be quiet, child. We mustn't make a sound.
Somebody's lost on the mountain.
Poor creatures, I suppose they will taste quite good.
Oh, bless me.
Ludi? The tower looks nice to eat.
Light a fire, cook them right.
The little one will also be nice to eat. Dear. Oh dear, what a dreadful woman. Can I have the first bite? Such an ugly pair.
Frightfully amusing.
Lost on the mountain, how funny.
Ring dong bang, go the hammers clang, a hit and turn and bow, whiz and puff and roll. Thus we cleave the rocks, force the goblin locks, see the shining ore.
What is that dreadful noise?
Stop! It is that horrible boy again.
Singing, singing.
There, that should do them. Goblins can't stand singing. They can't sing themselves, for they have voices like crows, and they don't like other people to sing because it makes them remember it. I heard them as I was coming up from the mines, and I just knew they were after someone. I'm very glad I came along. They won't touch you so long as I'm with you.
Just who are you?
I am Peter's son.
And who's Peter?
Peter the miner.
I don't know him.
Well, whether you know him or not, I am his son.
And why do the goblins mind you?
If you aren't afraid of them, they're afraid of you. I'm not afraid of them, that's all. But it works best up here on the surface. Oh, when you're down there, mining in the mountain, it's a different story. They won't always mind the singing down there. They feel safer at home, after all. Still, you must never act afraid of them.
Don't you speak of such things. You'll frighten the princess.
Princess, I beg your pardon, but you ought not to be out so late.
Ludi, take me home.
Dear one, don't cry.
Come along. I'll set you right. Shall I escort you home?
The impertinence!
No, it's all right, Ludi. Yes, if you will take one hand and Ludi shall take the other, then I can walk between you, and we shall all get along famously. I want to talk to you, but I don't know your name.
My name's Curdy, Princess.
What a funny name, Curdy. Do you have a longer name?
Curdy Peterson. What's your name, please?
Irene.
And what more?
I don't know what more. What's my longer name, Ludi?
Why, princesses haven't got more than one name. They don't need more.
Oh, then Curdy, you must call me Irene and no more.
We'll do no such thing.
What should he call me then, Ludi?
Your Royal Highness the Princess Irene, of course.
Your Royal Highness? What's that? No, Ludi. I won't be called names. I don't like that at all. You told me once yourself that only rude children call names, and I am sure Curdy would not want to be rude. Curdy, my name is Irene. Just Irene.
Well, Irene, it is very kind of you to let me call you anything at all. I like your name very much.
Sweet Curdy, I shall promise to give you a kiss when we get home.
Oh, princess, he's only a minor boy, and princesses mustn't give kisses. It's not at all proper. Besides, there's no occasion for a kiss.
He's a good boy, a brave boy, and he saved us in the mountains. Besides, Ludi, I promised, and a princess is always true to her word.
Never mind, Princess Irene. Like Ludi says, you mustn't kiss me tonight. But I won't let you break your word. I'm sure there will be a better time to keep your promise.
Oh, thank you, Curdy.
Never mind it. Ah, there's your castle. In 5 more minutes, we'll be there.
Curdy was, after all, only a miner's son, just as Ludi said, and so he was destined to spend his days under the mountain mining with his father. The mountain was very rich in the better sort of metals, iron and ore. The work was tough, but it was not particularly unpleasant. And some of the miners, when they wanted to earn a little more money for a particular purpose, would stay behind and work all night. Though they had encountered a few stray goblins before, they had never yet failed to drive them away. The chief defense against them was song, for goblins hated music, especially when feeling vulnerable on the surface. Curdy was a strong singer and quite brave, so he never feared the goblins when working alone at night.
Come now, Curdy. We must be getting home.
I think I'll stay here for a little while longer, Father. I need the extra wages.
And what do you need the extra wages for?
I want to buy Mother a red cape for the coming winter. You know how cold it gets in these mountains and how much she hates it. I want to get it for her birthday.
All right, just remember your songs and keep singing if any of those ugly little creatures show their face.
You know I'm the best there is.
Yes, I know. Try and be home before it gets too late.
I will.
Good night, son. Be careful.
Good night.
Are you sure they've all gone?
Yes, I heard them all leaving.
It much further. I hate carrying this awful load.
We'll rest in a minute.
Uh,
Go on, catch your breath, you weaklings.
I can't believe we have to move all because of those stupid miners.
One more day and they'll break into our old cavern. Hey, what are you huffing for, helper? That chest isn't so heavy.
It's weighed down with all of Mom's things. Besides, cousin, I could carry a great deal more if it weren't for my feet.
That's always been your weak point, son.
And yours and mine. Don't let him use that as an excuse. You know all goblins have tender feet.
Well, at least the goblin's head is as hard as these rocks. Do you think those folks up there who wear helmets when they go into battle? Bah! Helmets.
But why don't we wear shoes like they do? It might be nice, especially when I have to carry heavy things like this chest.
Because it is not the fashion. The king never wears shoes.
The queen does. Yes, but that's for distinction. The king's first wife wore shoes because she was from the surface. One of them, a human. The Goblin King's second wife would not be inferior to the first, so he had shoes carved for her out of stone. Whatever happened to that silly human wife anyway?
He was so sad being away from the sun that she withered away until she finally died. What a weak woman.
Then the king married a proper goblin woman and had that joy of a son, Prince Hairlip. It's too bad she insists on wearing shoes, though.
Father, why do they wear shoes up there?
Now, there's a sensible question, but to answer it, I have to tell you a secret. The king's first wife, the human wife, I once saw her feet.
Without her shoes?
Yes, without her shoes, and she had toes.
Toes?
Yes, just imagine the ends of your feet split into 5 or 6 little sections.
Let's talk about such disgusting things. How could the king have married a woman with toes?
The king never had to see them. His wife wore shoes just like all the other humans. That's just why she wore them too. That's why all the men and women up there wear them. They can't bear to see their own feet without them.
Now I understand. If you ever wish for shoes again, Helford, I'll stamp on your feet. I don't care if you are my own child, I'll stamp them good.
With such a heavy chest. All right.
Well, we better pick up our stuff and keep moving.
A curse on those miners.
Don't worry, they'll get what's coming to them soon enough. The Goblin King has a plan and they're talking about it at court tonight. I want to be there, so move your feet and come along.
Hence, 2 plans have been for some time working in my great head for deliverance of my people, regardless of the fact that we were the first possessors of the regions humans now inhabit, regardless of the fact that we excel above them in all ways except stature. They continue to make a mockery of our finer feelings. But we will soon take revenge upon them for the most unfriendly behavior.
May it please your majesty.
Who is it that interrupts me?
Glump, your majesty.
Your trusty subject. Come forward and speak.
Sir, I know all too well of what the Chancellor speaks. In another day, the enemy will break into the cavern that was once my home. My family and I have just finished moving into another cavern. I did notice, sire, that the water from the cavern above has already started to break through and drip into our old cavern.
Yes, it would be of considerable importance, but for the other plan I have already spoken of, that takes precedence. Should I be successful, and who can doubt that I will be, then the Goblin Kingdom will be established for a generation at least. It is secured by the pledge that I and Prince Harold will extract from Princess Irene's relatives in exchange for her fair treatment. Only if we fail in this plan will we enact the other one. For now, our goblin miners must keep digging, and the rest of us must prepare for the great battle that is coming. Oh, it will be so much fun to make the princess cry. All of her toes cut off, so she'll look like us, and I'll have to wear shoes.
Are you insinuating that I wear shoes because I have toes?
I was only saying...
I know what you were saying, and I don't have toes.
Calm down, dear. I was only relishing the thought of tormenting our son's future bride, that's all.
Ugh, so long as I don't have to look at her, I can't imagine having one of them in my house.
Now, my dear, we must all make sacrifices for the public good. And she is a princess. Yes, a human princess. But as a princess, I imagine she's slightly less grotesque than the rest.
They're all grotesque. Ugh.
Pray tell, what right have you in my cave?
The right of necessity, Your Majesty. I lost my way in the cavern and didn't know where I was wandering to.
How did you get in?
By a hole in the mountain.
He's a miner! Look at his pickaxe!
I came upon that in the caverns.
You will oblige me by walking out of my kingdom at once.
I would be happy to, if Your Majesty would give me a guide.
I'll give you 1,000.
One will be just fine.
Minions, come!
10, 20, 30 are also very dirty. 20, 30, 40 are also thick and snorty. 30, 40, 50.
Tie him up! He'll make a good supper!
Not so clever now, huh? Any songs to sing?
We'll cut off his toes.
Boil them in a stew. We could pound him with his pickaxe.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Stupid miner boy, foolish human.
Come to steal our dinner. Ha!
Now you'll be dinner, cured and smoked.
Salted in season.
Grandmother? Grandmother!
I am here, child.
Grandmother, I'm so very glad to see you again.
And you.
Ludi told me I imagined you, but I knew she was wrong. I knew you were more than just a dream.
Indeed I am. But now we must hurry. There is something we have to do, fast, before it's too late.
What is it, Grandmother?
Do you remember what I was spinning in the castle tower the last time you saw me?
The magic thread?
I was spinning the finest thread there is, made of spider webs, and visible only to those who know that it's there. Here.
It is for me?
Yes, and I have tied the string to it, so that whenever you are afraid or in danger, you may follow it, and I will be watching.
Will it lead me to you, so I can always find you?
Sometimes it will lead you to me, but other times it will lead you where you need to go. Trust in it and in me.
Won't it get tangled?
No, it sorts itself out. Now promise me you will wear the ring always.
I will, Grandmother.
Now, you must follow the thread, and it will show you where to go next. Can you feel it?
Yes.
Good. Now follow it.
I would rather stay here with you.
I know. But for now, you must go. There's someone who needs you.
Who?
Follow the thread, and you will see.
All right. I will trust you.
Good. Remember, I will forever watch over you.
Well, I don't fancy him at all. I think he'll make for tough eating.
We'll cut him up and put him in the sauce for Prince Herod's wedding feast. It'll be fine and save us the time and effort of stealing a hog.
In any case, we should leave him down here for a few days so he'll be a little less frisky. Should we fatten him up?
Too much trouble.
How long do you think it'll take him to lose his strength?
Oh, not long. They're quite fragile creatures. In a few days, he'll be wasting away.
Good. Now to bed.
Go to bed, goblin, do help the horrid queen to please remove her shoe.
Oh, that horrid creature!
Boy, you'll stop that at once.
If you do, it will disclose a horrid set of sprouting toes.
What a lie!
You know, it does make me think. For the entire course of our marriage, you've worn those blasted shoes. I think you should take them off in bed. You kick in your sleep, and they hurt me sometimes.
I will do as I like.
Come now, my dear, off the shoes. I'm going to help you, darling.
I'm going to bed. So long as I am queen, I will sleep in my shoes. It is my royal privilege.
Yes, dear.
Think of more songs while they sleep. Something must drive them away.
Hey, what's happened?
Quiet. You'll wake them. What are you doing here?
My grandmother sent me following a thread, and I think I found out why. You can't escape, can you?
No, I can't. What are you doing?
Trying to untie you.
Irene, you have to go. It's dangerous for you to be here.
Don't worry, Curdy.
You have to leave. Leave me here. I'll be fine.
My grandmother said I will be safe as long as I follow the thread.
I don't know what you mean, but you have to get out of here.
These knots are very tight.
Well, if you're not going to leave, use the pickaxe. It's on that slab over there. Great. Now, work the sharp end into the knot.
Now just one more.
Hurry.
I got it.
There's no time to lose. Come on.
What are those?
What? Oh, those are host and hostess. Wait a second. Irene, stay here for just a second. I just have to. I knew it, I knew it, I knew it. Oh, she is toast. Oh.
What does it mean?
Hold on just a second. If I can get the other shoe, she won't have a defense against us. Run, Irene! Wrong way, Irene!
Miners often carried thread with them when they went to the caves. Curdy himself would tie off an end and follow it down so that he could find the surface again and not risk getting lost. When he came home with a twisted ball of yarn tangled terribly, his mother would dutifully unwind it while he slept so that it could be used again the next day. A good mother will do anything to keep her children safe. But Irene's thread was not like the ones carried in the mines, and Curdy, no matter how hard he tried, could not see it.
There, I think that last passage was too narrow and small for them to follow us out.
Yes, but now I have no idea. I have no idea where we are.
Here, Curdy, take my hand. I told you, Grandmother is guiding us with a thread.
That's all nonsense. I don't know what you mean. I don't see a thread.
If you don't know what I mean, how can you call it nonsense?
Oh, I beg your pardon, Princess. I didn't mean to upset you.
I know, Curdy. Now, can you tell me what happened to you?
The Goblin King and Queen caught me sneaking around in their kingdom.
Oh, I would never call such horrid creatures king or queen.
They have some truly terrible plans. Now, you tell me, how is it that your Ludi let you go into the mountains alone and to crawl into the caverns?
Ludi doesn't know. I left her asleep and went to visit my grandmother. I hope Ludi doesn't get in trouble for...
But how did you find your way to me? Tell me the truth, Irene.
I told you already, by keeping my finger upon my grandmother's thread. See, I'm holding it now.
You don't mean you've got a thread there?
Of course I do. I've told you 10 times already. I've hardly taken my finger off it except to rescue you. Here, you feel it, don't you?
I feel nothing at all.
the matter with your finger? I feel it perfectly.
Well, I can't.
I can, though, and be glad for that because it's led the way. So far. What's that sound?
Sounds like miners. But no one mines in this part of the mountain. It must be goblins and rushing water? I wonder.
What is it, Curdy?
I wonder if this is another part of the goblins' plan or something? I have to go back down there and see. But first, I'll make sure you get home and that my father and mother know that I'm safe. I'm sure they're worried sick.
Grandmother!
Come to me, Irene.
Curdy, this is my grandmother, the one who spotted us from the caves. Curdy didn't believe me when I told him about you.
I know, my dear.
I don't see any grandmother.
You don't see...
Are you playing a joke on me, Irene? It isn't very funny.
But don't you see how lovely she is? Don't you see her beautiful robes and her silver hair?
No one's there, Irene. You're making fun of me. And after what we've been through today, I don't think it's very kind of you.
I'm not making fun of you.
I think you'd better drop it.
But didn't you hear her speaking to me just now?
No, but I heard the goblins' axes, though, so I must hurry. If you don't come back to the castle with me right now, then I'll go home and leave you by yourself.
Grandmother, what do I do?
You must give him time, and you must be content not to be believed for a while.
You're not coming with me now, are you?
I will take care of what Curdy thinks of you in the end, but you must let him go now.
No, Curdy. My grandmother says to let you go.
Very well. I am very much obliged to you for getting me out of that mine, but I wish you had not made a fool of me afterward. Good day, Your Royal Highness.
Oh, Curdy. What does it all mean, grandmother?
It means, my doves, that I did not intend to show myself. Curdy is not yet able to believe some things. Seeing is not believing. It is only seeing. Remember, I told you once that if Ludi were to see me, she'd only rub her eyes and call half what she saw a dream and the other half nonsense.
Yes, but I should thought that Curdy...
You are right. Curdy is much farther along than Ludi, and you'll see what's to come of it. You must be misunderstood for a while, but there is one thing much more important than being understood, and that is to understand others.
So, since Curdy cannot help it, I should not be angry with him?
Yes, child. And now you must go to the castle. Everyone, including your poor Ludi, is looking for you.
I don't want her to get in trouble, but I don't want her to know where I was either.
Neither will happen. Now take my hand and follow me. So, Curdy went up the mountain, neither whistling nor singing. He was angry with Irene for telling him stories, and he was angry with himself for speaking to her in anger. His mother and father gave a cry of joy when they saw him, and at once set about getting him and asking him questions about where he had been all night.
What a frightful story, my dear. Oh, you must be happy to have escaped.
Just after those goblins is very dangerous, Curdy.
I know, Father.
But I am proud of your courage, Helen.
Peter, don't encourage him. But, Curdy, what was the princess doing in the caverns? What a horrible place for her to be.
I don't understand it at all, Mother. She was talking such nonsense. She said her grandmother was leading her by a piece of invisible thread. It was quite ridiculous. Then she made a fool of me when we escaped the mountain. She pretended her grandmother was there, in plain sight, waiting for us. She seemed to believe in it with all her heart, but I didn't see a thing. Mother, what is it?
I think I should tell you something, Curdy.
Margaret, that was a long time ago.
But people still tell stories about her, and I wonder... Curdy, I should tell you that people have seen strange sights in these mountains.
Like what?
What I'm going to tell you is difficult to believe, but I don't want you to think that I was only dreaming. I know I wasn't.
You, Mother? You've seen something?
First, my son, you must understand what they say about the king's family. There have always been astonishing stories concerning them. All good stories, but peculiar, very peculiar.
Whoa, what are these stories?
They're something to do with magic.
Magic? Are you insinuating that the princess is magical?
Perhaps. She is certainly special, and the grandmother she speaks of, I believe I may have seen her myself.
Mother, you can't mean...
I am old enough that I remember the king's mother before she passed. I had only seen her face from a distance as a child, but I knew her looks and I knew her robes. When I saw her again, I was sure it was her.
You saw her after she had passed.
Your father had stayed late to work in the mine one night, and I had been down with his supper. It was not very long before you were born. He came to meet me at the mouth of the mine and left me to go home alone.
I should have been with you.
There's no fault. I knew the way home almost as well as the floor of our own cottage, and we were young. We didn't know the dangers of the dark like we do now.
What happened?
I reached the spot where the path has to make a sharp turn out of the way of a great rock on the side of the trail.
Where the goblins like to hide.
Yes, and I found myself surrounded. There were a half a dozen or so circling around me and shouting horrible things. They were going to cut off my toes and boil me in a stew for dinner.
I know what you mean.
I was so scared I couldn't find my voice to even shout, much less sing.
Well, what did you do?
I couldn't do anything. But you see, it was right then, when I was surrounded, that a bright light appeared in the middle of the trail. I looked up, and there was a tall woman with long silver hair lit up by the moonlight.
Jean's grandmother?
Her face was younger, but I knew her looks and I knew her robes.
And the goblins?
They fled into the woods, shrieking as they went. Once the goblins were gone, she disappeared, and I haven't seen her since. It was so strange I didn't tell a soul, except your father.
She saved your mother's life, Cody. There's some people just as trustworthy as your mother, and others far more likely to tell lies.
Well, princesses have told lies just as well as other people.
Yes, but not princesses like her. She's a good girl, honest to the core, and that counts more than being a princess.
Perhaps. I'm sorry I was rude to her. I shouldn't have gotten angry, even if I did doubt her story.
You should tell her that.
I don't know how. Her nurse doesn't like me in the slightest, and the guards would laugh in my face if I showed up at the castle gates asking for a private audience with the princess. I don't think I'll ever see her again.
I'm certain you'll find a way.
Her grandmother has saved you twice now, after all, and that can't be for nothing.
Well, there is something that I must do for Irene. Something I overheard in the mountains. The goblins are working on a plot against the kingdom.
Okay, the goblins are always working on some plot or other, but they always end up failing, getting each other in their own way before they even have a chance to strike.
Father, from what I overheard the goblins say in the caverns, it sounds like they're planning to flood the castle and the valley.
Flood?
Yes, they've dammed up the underground lakes and rivers, and now all they have to do is hammer through the right cavern walls and...
Oh, Cody, why didn't you tell us this right away?
Because they want to kidnap the princess first. They plan to hold her hostage and release the water, if the king won't agree to her marrying their prince.
Mary? But she's just a child.
So am I, and they were going to eat me. I don't think they value childhood very much.
The king would dig them out into the plain before he'd have his princess become the wife of a goblin.
But how would they even get into the castle?
There are caverns that go in that direction. But we walled them off years ago.
I bet one of the goblin miners has cleared those caves.
Which one?
We can go back and find out.
Don't you even think it!
I'll go back into the caves where Irene and I came out. I'll follow the sound of their axes until I know which direction they're headed. And then we can alert the castle guards.
No, Gertie, let one of the men do it. Your father.
It's too large to squeeze through those caverns. So are the other miners. Curdy is the only one who can fit.
Oh, but Peter.
He's a brave lad and he knows the caverns well.
All right. I'll get you some twine to mark your path.
In the meantime, I'll go rally the miners. We'll see if there's anything we can do in the mountain. We'll send word when all is well.
Oh, you'd better.
Don't worry, Mother.
I'll be safe with both of you.
Back at the castle, my child.
They'll be coming to meet me any moment now. They've been looking for me, I suppose. I'm sorry I made them worry. But sometimes a princess must do what's right, even if it will make others angry. What? There's the cook. And my lady. Even Sir Walter is coming. I do love Sir Walter. Grandmother?
Where have you been?
Princess, the princess is safe.
Oh, my nerves. We were so worried. Have you been outside all this time? Playing somewhere, I suppose. I'll make your favorite pudding.
You naughty little princess! How could you hide like that and make us all fancy you were lost? And keep it up all morning, too. You are the most obstinate child.
I didn't do that, Ludi. I wasn't hiding or playing games. But I did have to go on an important errand for my grandmother.
Don't tell stories.
Then I shall tell you nothing at all.
Tell me directly what you mean by all of this. I am your nurse. I am in charge of you. You will tell me.
When I tell you the truth, Ludi, you say to me, don't tell stories. Seems I must tell stories before you will believe me. A princess must not lie, so I shall have nothing more to say to you.
You are very rude.
No, Ludi, but perhaps I've outgrown having a nurse to look after me all the time.
You are the most wicked, provoking child.
I think it's best if you calm down now.
Will you please take me to your room? I no longer need my nurse. But I would like something to eat. Pudding does sound nice.
I'm sure, Princess, Ludi did not mean to be rude. Perhaps you can forgive her.
I don't think my king papa would wish me to have a nurse who speaks to me as Ludi does. Sir Walter, will you please take charge of me until my father comes? And will you please tell him to come as soon as he can?
The greatest pleasure, princess. I shall send a servant at once on the fastest horse in the stable.
Thank you very much, Sir Walter.
You would send me away? Oh, princess, I was only worried. I only meant to care for you. Oh, don't send me away, princess. I'm sorry. I spoke so rudely. Don't send me away.
I think, Sir Walter, I will keep Ludi in my service for now. Will you all please leave me with her for a moment? Ludi, please don't cry. I only meant to say that I will not speak of where I have been this morning.
You don't trust me to tell me?
I did tell you, but you didn't listen. You didn't want to hear.
I want to hear, princess. I want to know that you are safe.
From now on, Ludi, you must trust me to keep myself safe. Believe me when I say I'm being looked after even when you aren't with me. Now please, Ludi, let's go inside.
Gertie crept through the mines, following the sounds of the goblin miners. As he followed it, he realized that it was slowly climbing toward the surface. Not only was it getting closer to the surface, it was headed straight toward the castle. Gertie's suspicions had been correct. He knew it wouldn't be long before the goblins summoned their king, queen, and prince and began their attack.
It's a boy. I thought it was one of those creatures from the mountains.
What are you doing here?
Going to have a little rough usage, apparently.
Impertinence will do you no good.
Fetch the servants. Tell them we've caught one of those servant boys.
I am not a servant boy. I'm Peter the Miner's son, Curdy.
And what are you doing in the king's grounds?
And how did you get here?
If you don't give a true account of yourself, you shall fare as a thief.
What else could he be?
Let me go, if you please.
We do not please, not unless you give a good account of yourself.
I don't feel quite sure whether I can trust you.
We're the king's own god, boy. Who else could you trust?
Unless he's a thief.
I am not a thief. I'll tell you. Promise not to do anything rash.
You rash?
So you'll tell us about your mischief if we promise not to do anything rash?
I'm not a thief, and I wasn't up to mischief. I came here through one of the goblins' caverns. They're about to dig straight into the castle grounds. I am only a bit ahead of them. Once they form their lines, they'll break in and try to kidnap the Princess Irene.
The goblins could never get into the castle.
That's a crazy story, lad.
Did your thieving parents teach you to tell lies to get out of trouble?
There! She knows me!
Nurse, what do you know of this boy?
Why, I declare, it's that same young rascal of a miner who was rude to me and the princess on the mountain. He actually wanted to kiss the princess, but I took good care of that. And he was prowling about, was he?
That's a lie! The goblins are coming up through the ground to kidnap the princess. Please, help!
That's enough, boy. We'll throw you in the dungeon until we can sort this out in the morning.
But by the morning, it will be too late. The goblins are coming tonight.
Princess, go!
Yeah, where are you going, boy?
Someone, please! They've gone after the princess.
Take that! And that!
Their feet! Stab their feet! Come on, we have to save the princess.
Aha! Captives, let's haul them away! More toes to cut off.
Take that, you little withered pig!
Oh, that? Why, I'll huck off your...
Stab their feet!
Back where you came from, monsters!
Get back! Back where you belong!
Hey, beasts! Quick! Find something to cover the hole. There. That should do him.
You've done well, boy.
I'm sorry we didn't believe you. Had you not stumbled into the courtyard, we might have all been taken by surprise.
Nurse Ludi, fetch the princess.
You should be commended.
The king will hear of your deeds tonight.
Yes, sir. But now that the goblins' plan failed, they'll be flooding the mines, and I have to return to make sure my father has closed up the hole connecting our caverns to the goblins.
What do you mean?
It was the second part of the Goblin King's plan.
Princess Irene! Princess Irene! Princess Irene is not in her bedroom, and the room is all tossed about.
The goblins must have taken her while we were fighting. We were too late.
Don't worry, we'll remove the rock and chase them down.
We'll slaughter them all for this.
Aye, surely.
Come on, men! Send our fastest rider to tell the king to hasten his journey home.
Failed her. I failed the princess. Wait. What's this? A thread. A very tiny, delicate thread, and it can't be. It leads this way, up towards the mountain.
Curdy knew in his heart that the thread would lead to the princess, and indeed it led him into the mountains. Curdy was certain that at any moment he would meet the goblins carrying Irene away. But when he arrived at the place where the path turned off for the mine and the goblins' caverns, he found the thread did not turn with it. Instead, it took him straight to his own cottage. When he reached the cottage, the thread vanished from his fingers, and he could not find it, search as he might.
Mother, what?
Shh! You'll wake her.
But I'm already awake. I knew you would come.
So much has happened. I'm sorry when I said I didn't believe you about your grandmother.
Oh, never mind that, Birdie. You couldn't help it.
I can't help but believe you now.
What do you mean?
Just as I was about to go into the mountain to look for you, I caught hold of your thread, and it led me here.
Then you come from the castle?
Yes,
I didn't know you were there.
I knew what they were planning, and I was trying to warn the guards.
Warn the guards about what? Wait. Perhaps it will tell me why my grandmother brought me here. I woke in the night, was feeling very frightened for some reason. So I fell for grandmother's thread, and there it was. I thought you might be in danger when it led me to the mountains, but instead it led me here. Oh, Curdy, your mother has been so kind to me, just like my own grandmother.
Oh, bless you, child.
Then you didn't see the goblins.
No.
Oh, but the goblins have been all over the castle, even in your bedroom.
And what did they want there?
They wanted to carry you off into the mountain to make you a wife for that goblin prince, Hairlip.
What? Oh, how dreadful!
But it seems your grandmother took care of you.
But you took care of all my people, no doubt. And you're here now. I wish my king papa would come so I could tell him all about you.
But you are forgetting how frightened the people at the castle must be. Curdy, you must take the princess home.
Mother, this is where you can help, please. You take the princess home. I need to go and let Father know that the goblins are coming to flood the mines.
I will.
Oh, be careful, Curdy.
The miners worked all through the night to patch the hole that connected the goblins to the king's mines. They built up a huge buttress supported by the live rock in the caverns. The goblins let loose the subterranean waters. They would not break into the mines. And as the miners worked, Curdy's mother took Princess Irene home to the castle, where she would once again be safe.
Your Majesty, we went far below in search of the goblins. We chased them through the caverns till we came to a place where it was too narrow to follow.
We'll ride into the mountains at once and chase them out.
Oh, they'll hurt the princess.
Please don't cry, Ludi.
Oh, I can even hear her voice just now.
You can hear my voice because I'm here.
Oh, princess, you're safe.
Here I am. I'm perfectly all right.
I can see that, my dear, but however did you manage to escape from the goblins? And who is this you are with?
Papa, I was never with the goblins. I woke during the night and was feeling very afraid for some reason. Grandmother's thread led me to the mountains. It took me straight to Curdy's house.
Curdy?
He's the miner son we spoke about, Your Majesty. He is the one who warned us of the goblins' plot.
And this is his mother.
Thank you for bringing my daughter home to me.
It was my pleasure, Your Majesty.
This is Curdy.
Your Majesty!
This is the boy, Papa, who saved us all.
You are the boy's father?
Yes, sire. I'm Peter the Miner.
And what of the goblins, Peter the Miner?
Your Majesty, you can be certain they are all drowned by now.
Drowned?
Yes. The water is now pouring out of the mountainside now.
So with their own evil plot, they destroyed themselves. Cody, we have you to thank for all of this. I wish for your son to join my bodyguard at once and await further promotion.
But please, Your Majesty, I can't leave my father and mother.
He is such a wonderful family, Papa. I wouldn't want to leave them either.
But why shouldn't you go with the king, Curdy? We will be fine without you, and this is a wonderful opportunity.
Your mother is right.
But I won't be fine without you. The king is very kind, but I don't think I would be as useful to him as I am to you.
No one denies the king, Curdy.
No, it's all right. Perhaps I was a little too presumptuous. But I would like to do something for you. Is there anything you want?
Please, sire, might I have a warm red cape for my mother?
Oh, Curdy!
Tomorrow is her birthday, you see. She gets cold on the mountain, and I know she would love to have a warm red cape to keep her snug.
She shall have it at once. Nurse, take the princess inside. Guards, return to your posts. Cook, we shall have a feast tonight. Prepare the finest food in the castle. All the miners are invited.
We thank you, sir.
Cody, you look puzzled.
There is one thing I don't understand. What about Irene's grandmother?
Irene's grandmother has been looking over about her since she was a baby and will continue to look over her until a great knight will marry and protect her.
Perhaps I will be a great knight someday.
Perhaps, little miner boy, perhaps.
Yeah, you guys can go ahead and leave some encouraging you can go ahead and leave some encouraging comments in the chat for them. So proud of you guys. Amazing. Wow. You guys can feel free to step off of camera and go ahead and start to read those chat messages.